Hello Taurus, welcome back to my channel, The Vibes Inside. I am Mariana and I am preparing here to do your reading, Taurus. So I felt like I should shuffle on camera. I can do that, it's no big deal, it's the same process anyway. So, okay, so I feel like for these round of readings, doing Aries yesterday, I feel like there is a strong sense of like a push towards individuation, about autonomy, like what you are, who you are, really are. And I just get like a stronger and stronger song or voice of this, right? That something is, yeah, stronger. I was guided in the Aries reading to do like put the cards horizontal. And I will do that for you for all of the readings, I guess. We will see about that. Because it's about the individual. You, yourself, the self, the core in you. So it's not about the past necessarily, it's not about the future, it's not about time per se, it's not about you could say it's actually more about the current, maybe. It's more about who you are. I've said before that if you live inauthentically, like you are not in alignment with the core, your core, you probably will be unhappy, at least in some areas of your life. You're the second house, Taurus. It's about confidence. Usually about money also. Your own money, what you earn. And confidence and self-worth is usually also something that is, you could say, necessary maybe to build or to go and get earthy matters, pentacles. Build the life, make sure you have the life you want. It's well, I guess it's probably not the best, you know, it's not the best, the best way to get your money is maybe easily or best attained in an area where you feel confident, right? Where you do feel like you have something to offer, you have. But even if you have something to offer, it may still not make you happy, right? Usually people are told to follow school, right? And worth is considered to be something you realize when you go to school. Like you have maybe you're good at math, or you're good at language or something. And then you can pursue maybe like education that is about some of this, because like they are supposed to be good building blocks if you already have qualifications here. But it doesn't mean that it makes you happy, because we are more, right? We are always more than like The things we are taught or we are presented in school is just something that is benefiting society in some way. Like we are just reproducing the next generation of workers in some way. That's what school does. But I believe that there's so much more. Like there's more in this world that you could be good at. Right? There's more you could actually be an expert in. But it's just not something that is taught in school. You are considered like a feminine sign, right? You are ruled by Venus, so you have feminine qualities. Some of these feminine qualities could actually be where you have the potential to peak. But the feminine qualities is not necessarily well paid. Some of them are not even they're not even recognized. And they can be esoteric. We know that the Hierophant is Taurus, is a Taurus card. The Hierophant can be a priest in a church, and you can have qualities like that. It just doesn't mean that it's what you are, maybe you are not advised about that, because school doesn't, well, it may touch upon religion, right? But usually it's not what people look at. They look at the grades you have in school, and they will somehow push you in some kind or advise you in some kind of direction. But there's more. I just feel like there's more. Who I'm reading for here, that there's more. There's more to your Taurus. Or Taurus is more. Taurus is more than a worker. Or that a Taurus is not even necessarily masculine in its I believe that Taurus usually they have very good health. Like they are strong, like they can work long hours, they have good health, they are pretty like strong, structured bodies. They can carry a lot of weight. They are a pretty strong, like muscle power workers, right? And you could have been directed down that road, an education in that direction. But I'm just saying there's more to you. Like you could have an entirely different side of you that is very esoteric or spiritual or even religious. And that could just as easily be your path. It's just not necessarily something that society recognizes as real jobs or even well-paid jobs or even jobs that pay at all. I've said before with feminine energy, being a mother, for instance, like that is quite a job. One of the things that I believe is the hardest part of being a mother, actually, is that you put yourself aside. That you take your ego and like kind of push it aside for a moment to be able to be there for your child if it's in distress. Like this is not normal behavior, to put your own things aside, to be able to be there for something else entirely. Listen, comfort, guide, nurture until something has regained a sense of balance. Then you can take your own stuff back, perhaps. But this pushing aside and push and pull back and forward, like it's regarded as that's just how it is. That is required of a mother. That is just a necessary thing. But not all mothers are able to do this, actually. This is a skill. Like any other skill you can learn in like a factory or an education or something. It's a specific skill. And nobody pays for this, right? There's no if we want healthy children, so-called healthy children, we need good mothers. But that kind of, you could say, sacrifice, maybe, I want to say. I don't believe that many masculines are actually easily doing that. Masculines who have a plan and who go for it and they want to build something, create something, that's their drive. Tell them to put that aside for a moment, to let something else have the entire agenda. They wouldn't do that, would they? But somehow it's just expected that the feminines or the feminine mothers do this. But it's not paid for, it's not regarded, it's required, but not necessarily rewarded. My personal opinion is that there is a lot of feminine energy going on every single day, but because you can't see it, there is no stamp in a book every time a mother puts a bandage on the knee, every time a child gets a hug, or you wipe the tears away from their cheek and you comfort them. There is no stamp, there is no proof, there is no, it's just in the air, it evaporates, it's not something you can, it's not a statue. It has no physical proof of it. And because of that, it's like, because it can't be seen in that way, because there is no like proof of it, then it's like it doesn't exist. Or it has no value, or it's not regarded. People don't put attention on it. We only put attention on things we can see. Like we say with the esoteric world, people may have like all kinds of beautiful dreams and visions and everything, but because others can't see it, it's not real, it doesn't exist. But it does exist. It is there. But for some reason, in the paid world, it has no quality. It's not something people want to pay for. Not much. We know that with kindergarten teachers, we know it with nurses, things like that, who are in this humanitarian field of caretaking. It's not well paid. It's difficult to describe exactly what it is they are doing. We know that it's somehow helping, but it's difficult to, because we can't literally see it exactly. the holding of a hand of a nurse, you know, like a patient who is maybe distressed or fearing an operation. But if that nurse takes a little time to just hold that hand and listen to the story and listen to them and trying to comfort them, what quality is there in this? But when she lets go of the hand, you can't see it anymore, can you? It's gone. What just happened, this magical moment? Nobody can see it. There's no proof of it. Only if the patient talks about it, only if the patient actually tells a story, only if they actually talk about the people who did this, who were there, who helped. But usually we forget about it. When we feel better again, we forget about it. We take it for granted. We take what we can get. And when we feel better, we forget about it. That's why we talk about nice people. That nice people finish last. Nice guys finish last. Nice people are not regarded. Nice people are just something to be taken for granted. And when we feel better, we forget about it. Maybe we remember for a few days, then we forget about it. And we push on in our lives. Because what really matters is not nice. What really matters is a struggle. The struggle we cannot escape, so we have to face it anyway. So when we feel better, our awareness is on that, not on the nice. We cannot afford to only look at the nice when we have like this pressure on us in some way. We have to get fit again to join the battle. We have to get fit again to be able to scan everything and do our best. We can afford nice. Nice is nice, but when we feel better, we go into the battle again, or we go to work again. We do that again. And we forget about the comforting nurse. We don't even recall her name. Right? That's what I want to say. I don't know why it. So maybe, Taurus, you are that one. Maybe you are the one that holds someone's hands and give them comforting words. For a moment, you let them have the room. You let them have the say. You just listen. You put yourself aside and you listen. You try to help them. You try to comfort them. Maybe you're that one. Or, Taurus, you have someone around you who is like that, and you don't look at them. You disregard them. You don't see their value. You don't see what they're doing. And there is something about, money, self-worth, something about potentially identity here. That if you are a person like this, you should know that you have value. Your worth, your self-worth should be up to the roof of what you're doing. But that's not what the world mirrors. The world is not mirroring to nice people what they are actually doing in the world. how necessary nice people are. That we need nice people. We need them a lot, actually. But sometimes we take them for granted. When we have comforted the child and it has regained a sense of balance, it can go and play again. And they forget about us, like they run off and they are happy. Now they can join the soccer team again, or climbing the trees or something. But in that moment, when you put yourself aside and you allow them to heal with you, you are doing magic. That's my personal opinion. It's a magical thing to be a friend like that. You are friendly. These are the motherly qualities of a mother, of a psychologist who puts themselves aside for an hour. They sit with the client, they listen. They are never criticizing, they're never judging. They are not, they're not saying that the patient or the client is wrong. They put all this aside, whatever personal meaning they have, they put it aside and they're listening. The priest, if you go to the priest and you would like to talk to them, the priest would do the same. Their personal opinion, they have, they could have their personal opinion, and then they have their religious advisor role, you could say. But you can tell them your sins. You can confess, right? You can say things openly. You can be open. You can allow them to listen to your worst nightmare, your innermost personal private stuff. And they will just contain this. They will just be this blanket around you, right? That is that allows you to share sometimes some of the hard stuff. Some of the stuff we don't want to show the world. They are shadow healers, right? When we break, when we feel powerless, when we cry, when we fall to the ground and we can't get up, and people see that about us, they will contain it, right? They will hold it for a moment and help us regain our balance. They will help us get back on our feet. They have seen us in the worst potential. People who work in the hospital, they have seen everything. They don't care about body parts. They don't care about your genitalia. They have seen everything. They don't care about your beards or whether you were sweating or smelling like alcohol or whatever. They have seen everything. They still contain you. They still treat you. They still talk nice to you. They still do that, even if you are in your worst shape ever. Think about the world without them for a moment. Without people like that, what would the world be like? We should celebrate nice people. We should honor them. That's my personal opinion. We should honor them. We should show them how important they are. We should let them know. They are the rescuers. They are the helpers. They are the healers. And maybe you are one of them. Maybe you are a healer here. In that sense. And your confidence about this should be up. Like this should be, because it's not to be taken for granted. Every time a person puts themselves aside and allows themselves to be able to help in a way for someone else, this is special. This is a magical place. It can heal almost any wound. This is magical and should never, ever, ever be taken for granted. But we focus on the problems, like we focus on the trouble. That's what we do. We have to get up again, get fit, and then out there again, right? Just don't forget about the nice people. That's what I want to say. Never forget the nice people. The best friend. The caring nurse. The ambulance rescuers. The mothers who diligently every single day provide care and nurture for you, for children, for, elderly people, whatever. Because they have a choice. Like they could choose not to, right? They could choose not to be like that. They could choose to say, well, I'm done. Nobody sees my effort anyway, so I'm done with this. It's a choice, it's a lifestyle, it's a life calling to do some of this. But you see, if you do it again and again and nobody appreciates, nobody sees your effort, nobody ever says thank you, nobody comes to her if she is suffering. Nobody gives back to her if she is uncomfortable. Nobody sees her pain. Or his. Of course, not gender specific in that way. So maybe that's you, Taurus. I'm talking about this so I get a feeling that maybe that is you. Let's have a look at the center cards. It's always important. I felt I should take these, the red cards that are the Divine Feminine, and you are ruled by Venus. And I get Diana here as the center card. So, Queen of the Wilderness, the language of the natural world is the frequency of love. This is the mother tongue. So I just mentioned mother, right? Mothers, I feel like mother tongue. Mother tongue can of course be a language, like you come from one country and the mother tongue indicates that country's language. However, I want to say Diana is well, she speaks with a mother tongue, I want to say. She has motherly qualities to her. Queen of the Wilderness. The language of the natural world is the frequency of love. So there could be something about nature here that, and we know that nature is very healing. It allows us to be who we are. You can, again, there's this element that you could run naked in the forest. Nature wouldn't mind. People mind, but nature wouldn't mind. You could shout, you could sing, you could play an instrument. Nature wouldn't mind. People would mind, but nature wouldn't mind. Nature has an absolute, again, this blanket-like acceptance, and all acceptance, you could say, of you per se. It's not necessarily criticizing. I know that nature can be wild also. Of course, we can have storms and lightning and everything. But then you could choose not to go there, right? You could stay indoor. If you go outdoor on a shining, beautiful day, and you walk into the forest, depending on, of course, the nature life, if you have lions there, well, maybe it's different. But I would say nature is like a mother. It doesn't say anything, right? Trees don't say anything per se like that. They're not criticizing you. They don't care about your hairstyle, your shoes, your choice of deodorant. They don't care about that. It doesn't matter. It's like it just brings this comforting kind of hug almost. It's not judging you. It won't criticize you. It's not criticizing your past or your present, it's not past, present, or future. It's not criticizing it. It's just there with you in a very critical moment, maybe where you need it. Does that make sense? Again, a bit like I said before, it has no own agenda. People have agendas, but nature doesn't. Nature is a very healing place. So if you can't find people who will be able to be this for you, this blanket, what I call it, a gentle hug here from a person, then maybe you will find it in nature. Maybe you will find that if you sit there, that there is no judgment of you. It's very accepting. Even if you carry like the worst sins ever, you feel like you're such a failure, you're such a bad person, you are a traitor, you have killed people, or you have been at war, you have been maybe under a lot of pressure, maybe even if you are dealing with post-traumatic stress or something, if you sit in nature, you can just be there. But that's what I talk about. I get this feeling for this reading like and well, Taurus is an earth sign, so we could say the first earth sign could be about nature. It could be about exploring nature, being in nature, allowing the nurturing, caring effect of nature to have an influence on you. Maybe in an individuation process, perhaps. You know, like I talked about individuation in Aries reading. I feel like it's still here, that it's moving forward, and that could be for at least some advice to maybe take from each reading. What could be helpful? What could maybe be beneficial in an individuation process, or learning about yourself, that the nature has a very, very accepting tune, you could say. You can walk there and just let your tears run down your cheeks, right? It will not judge you. It will not It will just accept you, right? As I said, it's a bit like the mother, right? Like this. Sometimes the mother doesn't know what happened. What they do is just that they see that something is really off. They see that something is very much out of balance, and it's just offering. It's offering a hug, right? It offers itself. With no personal agenda, it offers itself to just care, being friendly and caring when something is very distressed. That's what I feel like. So nature could be a very healing, I want to say energy, or a very healing place. A song or tune. The tune of nature could be very helpful for whomever I'm reading for here. And again, never forget the nice people, right? Never forget those who actually are friendly. But we do forget. Nice guys finish last. Nice guys end up in the friend zone. Nice girls may end up in the friend zone as well. It can never be anything else. Diana represents the call to embody a more primal connection to the wilderness that exists within. The goddess Diana was worshipped in the ancient Roman religion that originated in Italy. She is the daughter of Jupiter and Latona, born on the island of Delos, with her twin brother Apollo, god of the sun. The temple of Diana in Rome dates back to the 6th century BC. She was the protectress and patroness of the lower class and slaves who could seek sanctuary in her temples. The temple to Diana in Ephesus, also attributed to the Greek god goddess Artemis, was considered one of the 7 wonders of the ancient world. It took 220 years to build, and the magnificent statue of Diana, covered in breasts, symbolizes her worship as a fertility goddess for women. Paul, in the Acts of the Apostles in the New Testament, mentions Diana's temple, since her following was extensive and seen as a threat to Christianity. The most famous place to worship Diana was in the sacred grove of oak trees on the shores of Lake Nemi near Rome. Out in nature, connected to the earth and to the wild animals, the roam freely across it. Here she is the huntress, with her golden bow and arrow. She is the independent, free-spirited goddess who communes with the moon, the natural worlds, and all those who cannot speak for themselves. So when your soul selects this card, sometimes the answer is the simple elemental need to just walk barefoot in the grass, or even better, the mud. Sometimes we get so caught up in what's happening or what isn't happening that we forget to just be. We forget that there is tremendous power surging up from the earth, wanting to take whatever energy is no longer serving us. We forget that we can commune with the trees. those ancient protectors and elders whose language come with the help of the wind and the slow, soft caress that touches our cheek. Answers sometimes need to come from the basic desire of the body to feel grounded here on earth. Diana is associated with fertility, the phases of the moon, the ability to communicate with animals, of course, not with any human language, but with the frequency of love and intention which animals perceive. If we open ourselves up to it, we can connect to the wisdom of the natural world even if we live far from it, even if we are deep in the heart of the busiest city. A sign on a bus, a logo on a t-shirt, or a card someone sent us many carry an image of the animal that wants to reach us. Or we may be visited by a possum on the fire escape, or a hawk on the window ledge. We don't have to be in the wilderness to access the wisdom of the natural world. The wilderness is within us. We are a part of it. There's so much more we can receive from the wordless world around us. From the wordless world around us. We just have to develop the heart that can hear it. Yeah. Does it make sense? Like I just... So there's something about the moon here, the moon cycles. There's something about nature. I started by saying that there's more to you than maybe just the most industrial life or like the more masculine ruled world of industry and business, which many of us get directed to with the skills we present in school. Then we get directed or advised in some kind of direction. But again, I just feel like there's more. There's more to you, Taurus, right? There's more to this world even. And if you are unhappy, Taurus, it can be because you're living too much in one world and doesn't really have much access to the other. But you could get that, like you could have it. I think it's like a memory, right? Like being reminded about. Being reminded about it. It's like roots. I feel like the roots of a tree. Like being reminded of roots. And again, I get the feeling like the roots, if you can somehow figure that out, it will feel right. Like it would feel like you are now connected again in some way. A sense of homecoming. It's almost like a DNA thing. I think like it's in your DNA. It's in you. You can find it again. So in the crown center here, or the crown position, I get the 6 of Pentacles or 6 of Earth here. So it has the position of the what I call the crown. So this can be something on your mind. It could be something you're thinking about, something you just know that you somehow have to balance. This is about balance. 6 of Pentacles is a balance card, harmony card. It's something about, well, sometimes it's called equal give and take. It's about having a different kind of balance in your life with what you're doing. Maybe you have focus on it, as I said, because you know, like a mother who just is, like she is who she is and what she is. And if she makes herself available, you know, and something heals from it, it gets help in that moment, and then it runs off again. Like the mother is now maybe happy that she could help, you know, that her effort was helpful. But you know, you can keep giving, like you can keep doing that, and nothing is returned. As I said, nice guys finish last. They're not seen, they're not regarded. Somehow it is the more troublesome relationship that draw us in some way. Being helpful and nice is seemingly not enough. It's not interesting enough. Maybe it's because it's too available, like it's too certain. There is nothing to, like you can take it for granted. It's too certain or too available somehow. There's nothing to conquer, there's nothing to win, there's nothing to prove, there's nothing to do, basically. There is an all acceptance, there is an all inclusiveness, there is an acceptance of all of you, and for some reason we're not choosing that. We're choosing where we can't be accepted, or where we can get in, or where we have to test the waters, or where we have to, for some reason we do that. Like we are somehow always drawn to the something else. This in your crown position could be something that this is on your mind. It could be something you're thinking about. It could be something you're wondering about, like how do I get more balance in my life? No, maybe a sense of peace. Maybe a sense of calm. Or how do I just maybe get less trouble, you know? How do I somehow get less trouble or less turmoil? How do I secure less turmoil and more peace or more balance? I sometimes, when I look at this card, I feel like he looks a bit, well, undernourished actually. I see part of his skeleton here, under cranium skeleton here. He looks a bit thin, like he needs to eat more or drink more here, right? That's what I feel like. So there could be a feeling of being a bit exhausted, drained. Again, as I said, usually some of these nice people can become givers, but sometimes they don't receive that much back here, and they can get exhausted, drained, you know. And you could be thinking about how you somehow balance this. So we have wilderness earth here, mother, wilderness, earth here. We have earth here as well. So definitely earth is here. You are an earth sign, Taurus. I sometimes think that this feminine energy is totally taken for granted, first of all, but also a bit starving, like there's not much attention on the mother. I know some cultures do this regularly. It's part of their practice that the mother is very favored, is very regarded and everything. But there are definitely also, you could say, there are definitely also cultures where this is not regarded. It's not seen as magical. It's just expected. Being a stay-at-home mom has no prestige. It's like a sacrifice to like stay at home and take care of your children. And what it takes, like this, putting yourself aside is like to be available for something else it is a sense of a sacrificial thing to do for a person, because normally we would like to be in tune with ourselves, right? We would like to somehow balance ourselves out. Maybe I'm talking to someone here who is doing this a lot, like they are putting themselves aside a lot, and therefore they are a bit exhausted here, or a lot is exhausted, and now trying to figure out how not to be, right? How not to be. Let's say you have 3 children at home as a mother, and you go to work and you are a nurse. Do you see how much of your time you are making yourself available for others? You're doing it at work. That's expected. You are paid for that. It's part of your job description. When you get home, you are also a mother. Do you see, when is the time for you to be you? When is the time for you to be selfish or relaxing, lazy, thinking about yourself and not others? That could be what this is. Like maybe you have to become lazy. Maybe you have to take time for yourself. Take a weekend off and go somewhere. No phone. Like nobody is supposed to be able to call you for your comfort, for your healing. This is about you. It's about figuring out to revitalize some of your batteries here. Finding a way to do that. One of the ways could be through like the connection of, again, I feel like roots, like finding a way back to what your real roots are here. Something that vitalizes you. I've talked about like finding and understanding your core. It's important to figure out where you will be happy and in what you will be happy. Because if you are naturally inside, in your core, you are a healer, you are a mother, then it would be natural for you to give. But you see, it says in the book that she was worshipped, Diana, for what she was doing, what she was about. She was worshipped. There was a recognition of her. People knew, right? They knew that she was special. temples have been, built in her name. She was the protectress and patroness of the lower class and slaves who could seek sanctuary in her temples. For a moment they could come to her temple and feel peace, help, assistance, shelter, For those who are lower class or slaves, under some kind of force, pressure. She is independent, free-spirited. She communes with the moon, the natural world, and all those who cannot speak for themselves. Again, people of lower class who do not have a voice or do not have the ability to express it without repercussions, right? But she would do that. An independent woman, free-spirited. So again, I get the feeling of individuation, I get the feeling of autonomy. She's not owned by anyone, she's free. She's her own, her own whole person or her own version. She speaks her mind, she speaks what she believes in. She has arrows here. So she is quite capable, and her arrow here is her arrow. She can defend herself. That's what I wanted to say. She has a way of defending herself. She could have a sharp arrow here, meaning that when she speaks, it's like a sharp arrow, right, that pierces through the air and is unrecognizably, you can't not hear it, right? I get a feel like like she is a voice that cannot be silenced, right? Because she is independent, she doesn't belong to a group. She doesn't belong to any kind of club setting, maybe religious, like maybe she is an absolute free person here. Like she has no her root is perhaps independency. Like an all independency, meaning that she doesn't belong to any faction or dogma or religion or, I get a feeling that it's like nothing can own her. Like she cannot be owned. And actually that kind of freedom, I feel like, can be the balance here, right? Maybe like the reason why this one feels a bit starved to me or looks starved to me is because she has been, like maybe you have been owned. Like maybe you have declared loyalty to something. But over time this is becoming a problem. Like over time you are exhausted by this. Over time you can't uphold your promise. Trying to find the balance in it, but maybe the only way you can actually have that balance is by freeing yourself, individuate. Like being a free spirit means that nothing can own that spirit, right? Nothing must own it. Nothing can. Maybe that's also why I talk about nature, because nature doesn't, as I said, it's not dictating you anything. It would accept you exactly as you are. Actually, I get a bit like Robin Hood from this, right? Like a I don't know, but that's what I feel like. It could be this. He was an outlaw, right? He was considered an outlaw, but what he was asking was actually just to be free. And he was fighting for the poor, right? Again, the lawless, those who are owned, the slaves, lower range or lower hierarchy, those who are owned. Those who have a master, those who are owned by tradition or moral or marriage or other kinds of institutions, perhaps in society, religion. You know, this is a bit like Robin Hood for me, like, well, in a female form. A female Robin Hood here, right? She can never be owned by anything. She doesn't belong to a club. And society, I get it, they would see her as an anarchist. They would see her as a troublemaker, an outlaw, a rule breaker, something like that. But it feels a little bit more like, yeah, Robin Hood fighting for the poor, giving, like helping those who cannot speak for themselves, or those who may not or are not allowed to, or are punished or killed if they do. So that's what I feel like with this card. It's like and I think that maybe this is, you know, like a part of you that could have been under nurtured. That's why it comes across as, you know, like a bit of a starved version here. There could be a concern about children also here, those who cannot speak for themselves, right? Maybe they can speak for themselves, or they don't dare to. Like children who have like horror secrets, who are under a lot of pressure or abuse or something, right? There could be a sense of fighting for those who, like having a voice for those who are regarded as scum or who are not seen with any kind of value. I don't know. There could be, you know, like helping those who don't. It could be anything. It could be addicts in the street, homeless people. It could be, well, children who cannot speak for themselves, abuse victims. It could be people in like PTSD circumstances who are very traumatized people in some way, right? That this is the one that is, because they don't belong to a, like if she was a psychiatrist, you know, she would be in that realm. Like she had to go to university and study, you know. She's schooled then. She's schooled to pass the exam. She has to say the right things. I get Divergent also from this, like if you know that movie, this idea that, yeah, I can say all the right things to pass the exam, but this is not who I am. I'm more than that, right? There's more to me than that. I cannot be put in a box. That's also what I get from this. She cannot be contained in some way. She has to have freedom. If she has no freedom, she is starving here. It's killing her. So I feel like someone is trying to find balance in a world that wants to put her in a box in some way, but she cannot be in a box. She can never be in the association, the psychiatrist association. It's way too limited. Do you get my point? Like she has to have open, she has to be able to go in any direction that is available depending on who she's helping. Whose story do I want to put forward? In this case, for instance, right now I speak the story of the nice mother who is taken for granted. So right now I could be her speaking this, like this story, putting light on it, shedding light on it. Make others listen if you listen to this. Even please share it, of course, with someone you know. Right? Why not? Make a movement if you want to. You know, as I said, never forget about the nice people. They are very important. They're healers, they're magicians. Without them, we are lost. Without them, there would be only harshness in the world. Without them, there would be no hope. Without them, there would be no believing in the good. Because there wouldn't be any proof. We would not have experienced it. That's why I say this. Never forget about the nice people. Those who are actually kind, friendly, understanding. Those who put themselves aside for a moment to help another person. Some do this for a living. Some do it both at home and for a living. You know, but that's... Without them, what would the world be like then without them? We shouldn't forget about them. We should honor them. We should tell their stories. We should speak it out loud. We should give them flowers. Every day, some out there are preparing dinner meals. And every day, some say grace, some put a little attention on this. But what if she decided, this mother, not to make the dinner for the family? Just because, well, she doesn't want to that day. She decides that, well, I don't think I want to. There will probably be a reaction, right? Why is there no dinner, mommy? Why haven't you made any dinner, my dear wife? Well, because I didn't felt like it. So there are, for some people, I know this, I'm stating an example. I know that this is not going to be in every family, of course not, right? But whom I'm reading for here, they feel trapped by something. They feel that they are in a situation that potentially is exhausting them. They have in mind to break out, break the boundaries or the ties of something. They feel a growing need for her to come forward, to cut ties, to be free, to get out, to show her real colors, you could say. Become this one more and more. That's what I feel like. That's the energy that is here. So if that is not you, it's not for you. If you know someone who's going through something at the moment, it could be them, right? If you're a cross watcher, it could be something like that. I'm just saying that this is not like, if you have balance in your life and you're very satisfied in your marriage, this is not for you, right? It's not for you. This is someone who feels exhausted here, right? They're exhausted of maybe trying to have balance in an environment that cannot bring balance. Or just the idea of bringing balance is the exhausting part, meaning that it never stops. It's a never-ending story. Let's say you work as a nurse here, right? But it will never stop. There will be patients every day for the rest of your working life. It will never stop. And you are, like putting in your effort every single day. Or if you are a mother here, or you work as a kindergarten teacher here, it never stops. They're just coming new children in. It will never stop, right? You will be giving and giving and giving and giving and giving and giving and giving. And fewer of those children will actually remember you when they are leaving, when they go off, to other schools and so on. They will not remember you. They may, maybe they remember, this idea of there was a kind kindergarten teacher where I was when I was a child, but they can't really, maybe they remember a little bit. But it's long gone, right? It's over, it's long gone. It's part of the job. You have to be able to let the children go, right? If you work in a place like that, it's the same with patients in the hospital. They are there for a while and then they leave, right? So at the root position here, this is crown, this is more root position. I get the page of Gabriel, so I get like, it feels like a rumbling, like a rumbling that becomes, or a drum, like a drum beat that starts very, very small, and then it becomes more and more. It's like a tune that becomes, it's very, very slow at first, and then it builds, accumulates, it builds momentum, it has the page here. So this is just small still, like it's still in the beginning phases of accumulating. And this is, again, fire can be confidence, it can be willpower, it can be go-getter energy. This is what I am. This is what I want to do. This is who I am. This is what I want to fight for in my life. This is what I want to fight for myself. This is I get a feeling of like a growing, it's a mix. It's a mix of discontent and a growing awareness, a drumbeat that becomes bigger and bigger. It becomes more and more apparent. It becomes more and more again, I get a feeling of dissatisfied, like it's hungry here. It's starving, right? There is a dissatisfaction. So it is a mix of like from the dissatisfaction grows something. From the not being valued or not being seen or not feeling starved here. From that position of from the dissatisfaction, maybe I get a bit of anger also actually. From that dissatisfaction and anger, something is accumulating, something is growing here that becomes more and more and more. It may be in the start phases, because I have a page here. So this could still be, new. There's also maybe, there could be anger here, but there's also an inspiration, a breaking free. Like a breaking free can become a mission, like it becomes a life goal to free yourself to become Diana here. It can be a life, like from the dissatisfaction grows a mission, I feel like. From a dissatisfaction grows a mission. And it's in the root center. So this is like something that comes from deep down, and it just, accumulates up from the root area up through your body or up through your, you become ready to fight, or you become ready to stand your ground, or you become ready to cut those ties, free yourself, say no, don't make dinner, or whatever this is. That from the dissatisfaction grows grows a fire, an arrow of fire, that grows a message of fire, that grows a tune, something that wants to do something. It wants to take action in a particular way. It wants to take action in a particular way. It doesn't want to be boxed in. It wants freedom. It wants a free-spirited life. You can't, I cannot be tied up, tied down. I don't want to belong to a group. I don't want to belong to any kind of dogma, religion, tradition. I even don't want to have a country, Perhaps I don't even want, what is called a mother tongue. I want a mother tongue, yes, but it's not a language. It's not a... I want to talk with the tongue of the mother, but not like a mother tongue. I hope that I make that. That it's about love. It's about what is caring and kind in this world. It's about seeing through the glasses of superficiality. It's about recognizing that a person has worth no matter whether they are slave or rich people, right? It doesn't matter whether they are homeless or an addict or whether they are like CEOs or queens or kings. It's this idea that every life has worth. Every life is important. Every life is and every life carries a message. Every life carries a opportunity. Again, she can never be in a club that says that only certain people are worth saving. Like, she cannot be there, right? Her heart beats for those who can't speak for themselves, who are non-verbal, handicapped people maybe, people in pain, trauma victims, abuse victims. Yeah, children, I may have said that, and maybe very financially challenged people, like they have no homes, they have no money, they have no belongings. Refugees that come from a different country with nothing. She could be someone who is like that, right? She would fend for them, like she would rather fend for them. Or maybe not rather, but she would definitely fend for them. But according to her own rules. She is a divergent. She will not belong to a group. Right? She is not going to be a Christian nun. She's not going to be belong to any kind of club or union, or, as I said, she could be a psychiatrist here, but she will not be like being a member of the psychiatry association is not, that would feel like a limitation to her, I think. Like, that is too limited, and it's too schooled also. Like, working with the moon would indicate something like using intuition, like not being limited by what school teaches her. That her heart and intuition will always be a part of her decision making as well. You know, that's the and that could be what is missing here, that she can't use her intuition. She's not allowed to. She can only use reason, logic, proof, physical proof. She cannot use her intuition. It's not sanctioned, it's not allowed. So what she's doing here is limited in some way, right? And feeling the agony and the dissatisfaction of something, wanting to free herself, and because she is actually starving here, like she is not satisfied. She can't do her job right, I think. It's like, you know, She's a bit of a wild card because society likes people that follow the books, that follow the rules, that do A, B, C, D, E. But this one, she would do A, C, D, and then go off the grid and do something else. So I get a feeling of like a wild card. A bit like, again, I said Robin Hood, divergent, like a bit of an outlaw. Like she is a wild card, I guess I would call her. If you've seen I know it's an old movie now, but if you've ever seen Top Gun, like Maverick, played by Tom Cruise, he is this absolutely brilliant pilot. But one of the criticisms about him is that he is a bit of a wild card. That he can make decisions that are irregular. Like he flies by his gut instinct. You know, you can't control him. You can't direct him. Like over the microphone, he may not respond. He would do something else. His gut feeling would tell him to go somewhere else, or to fly somewhere else, or fly higher or lower, or take some kind of risk in some way. In that way, he becomes this wild card that is brilliant, but not controllable. So to become Diana, you also become a bit of an outlaw. Like you have to, that's what I feel like. The Diana calling is like a calling to become a rule breaker, or a rule changer, if at best, maybe, right? Or a rule breaker or rule changer. You know, like there's gut instinct, there's intuition here. There is this accumulating feeling of wanting to do something about a certain situation, change something, bring awareness to something. And I also feel like never look back. Like trust whatever she's calling you here, right? Trust that. Trusting this instinct you have, or this fire that seems like it's coming here, or starting, right? That it's on its way. It says, follow your passion. You are ready for any challenge, opportunities for excitement and adventure here with the page of Gabriel. Energetic, brave, optimistic, even playful. Something is starting to burn here or accumulate in you. As I said, it can come from it can start from a dissatisfaction, but then it forms into something else that may become a mission, you know, or a life goal, or it will energize you. The further you allow this to work, like build and mold and accumulate, the more excited you would get about it, I think. The more it feels right, the more brave you will become, the more you will say no to things that are starving you here. The more you will become Robin Hood, right? The more you will become aligned, or you have accepted Maybe you have accepted the outlaw in you, like the one that doesn't want to conform to certain rules or expectations or boxes. Yeah, that's what I feel like. That is the message actually. That there is something building here. But you know, at first this could be like a, maybe it doesn't feel good. You know, like especially if you come from a box. Like if you come from a box that doesn't feel, or at least now it doesn't feel satisfactory to you here, that something is missing. I said in the beginning, I said that if people live inauthentic lives according to their core, they will be miserable in at least in some areas of their lives. And maybe that's what you figured out here, that there is something to be gained maybe here, but what you have experienced is that over a long period of time, or after you have tried for a long time to have harmony or balance, it's exhausting you, or it's a never-ending story. As I said, you will, as a nurse, it will never end. It's a constant giving. Or as a mother, like if you have mothers with you have pregnancies with years between them, then you are a mother for a very long time. Even if you, let's say you are still a mother to your brother, or you are still a mother to your mom, or your sister, or your father, or other family members, you act as a mother or nurse for elderly family members, you know, things like that, then you are constantly like that version of yourself. And I get like it's a limitation, like there's more to you than maybe just that, right? That there's more to you. But as I just said, like if you usually make dinner every night, and your family has come to rely on your service, your sacrifice, or your willingness to help and be there and be available and everything, they may take it for granted. They may even not think about it, right? They may not even say thank you. Or they may say it, but you know, like it's just something they say because it's routine. Or it's politeness. But then they go off and have fun with their friends. They don't sit and like join you. They don't choose you, perhaps. Yeah, that's what I feel like. And of course, this can be very frustrating. And from that sense of dissatisfaction or frustration, something else can mold and grow. A fire. A fire can be anything. Of course, it can be inspiration, motivation. It can be beautiful in that way, but it can also be an anger. It can be frustration. It can be a sense of bitterness. It can be a yeah, like with the starvation card, for me, it doesn't feel like a necessarily a. I think it will change. It will become that. It will become a mission. It's going to inspire you to be her. So becoming Diana here is is a very powerful state to be in. But you know, like it's a becoming. You're becoming her, or you are moving more and more towards her. It is maybe a transformation phase, or a phase of, like she becomes like a life mission. So that's what I feel like a, it's like opening a door to something you are also. Like you may still be a healer, you may still be the mother in you, like you may still have those qualities, but this is like you are more than that. Like you are also your own version. You do have your own private needs and stories and narratives and truths. You are not always just someone who opens yourself up to others. You do actually have boundaries. You do have your own narrative. You do have your own stories. You do have your own truth. And you do not necessarily make yourself available all the time. You have a choice. Like you can say no, or I want to use my energy on something particular here. If I want to make myself available, I want to do it in a certain way, and I will not be dictated by any kinds of rules in some way. I will be a free consultant. You know, I'm not working in the hospital as a nurse. I'm a consultant they can bring in. I'm not I don't go by the hospital's books. You know, I'm not working under rules that are of the institution, maybe. Does that make sense? It's like, as I said, like a divergent. It's like, you could follow the books. You could follow the schooling that you've had, but that doesn't work for you, right? It doesn't cling right. It's not in harmony with your heart song. It's limited. It's like when you have to do that, it's like your fire is killed. It kills your fire if you have to follow certain rules. That you work under a contract, and because of that you now have to do A, B, C, D, E. But it's like it doesn't work for you. You need much more freedom, much more. Again, you're a free consultant. You have to have your own free space. You have to maybe listen to other rules. You follow the moon. You are instinctual. You are intuitive. You are maybe psychic here. You are. I think you get my point, right? You cannot be put in a box. You will never thrive in a box. I guess is that nature actually? Like, I was just wondering, you know, like when we take plants and we put them indoor, or we are growing new plants indoor, like in a plant facility somehow, flower is that, like, are they really thriving there? Or is it exactly the opposite, that because they are outdoor with the sky over them and the rain and the wind and the earth beneath them, like, this is not earth from a plastic bag, right? It's the earth. It's the wind, it's the rain, it's the sky, it's the sun. Is that the reason why it works? Because it's not boxed in, because it's in a natural habitat. And as long as we let it be like that, it will work out. As long as, when we start to fix it, or when we try to, like, change something, it's not thriving. And I think it goes with every one of us. Like, if we are put in boxes or limited in some way, in the way we think, in the way we act, in the way we speak, or in the way we conduct ourselves, in whatever work you are doing, it's a limited feeling, right? It's not a it's like something is missing. Like, you take the oxygen tank away, or the fertilizer or something is missing in that entire scenario. And for you, it's the freedom. Like, you can't be, if people ask you to fit into a certain box, it won't be right for you. Follow a certain doctrine, or it's like the doctrine has to be yours. You write it, or you decide on it, depending on who you are helping, or who you wanna, like, put your effort into. So if you decide you wanna help homeless people, you wanna be there, you wanna build a sanctuary where some of these people can come, they have a bed for the night, or they will be given a meal or something. If that's what you want to do, that becomes your focus group. And you will now try to figure out how to make that best possible. But maybe it's different than if you were working with abuse victims, or handicapped children, or non-verbal people who have no language, or is misunderstood. Like, like you would set your focus on the group. Like, you would set your focus on what it needs. And then you will try to figure out how to fix that or make it, right? Or what could be a good, in what way is assistant useful here? In what way can I assist in an actual helpful way? And you decide when or what, you decide on the mission. Like, you decide on it, what that mission becomes. What is it exactly? Like, maybe you want to be available or give something to people that actually appreciates it, where you don't feel starved here, who actually sees your value, who appreciates it, who are grateful. who will remember you. Maybe they will even honor you. Like maybe they will talk about you years to come, things like that. Because you made a real difference in their life. You changed their circumstances, perhaps. Something they can never forget, something like that. That could be what is going on here, that you are realizing, yeah, but I've put in my effort in the wrong places, right? I'm pretty sure that if I go somewhere else, they would know, right? They would see the difference. They would understand what it is I'm trying to do. So if I am in a position where it is a never-ending story, I could just as well choose receivers, like those I want to help. I could just as well choose some who actually cares. Some who sees my effort. Someone who values it. Someone who would never forget it. Someone who will remember me. Something like that. That if I should put in my effort here, I want to be someone known. I want to be remembered. I want them to remember the effort. Or I will expect it because they're taken out of situations that are really, really bad. So helping people out of really, really bad situations, so people will appreciate you. Maybe they will see you as a savior in some way, right? Maybe you would like to be a savior in some way. But a very free-spirited one, I want to say. So a savior, well, that can be one thing, but another thing is to bring awareness, to what I call nice people. Just bring the awareness that there are people here that actually do this every single day. Like in private, in the homes. They may do it for a living, like a job, but still, even if it's a job, I still would say that it's on a personal level, this can be a sacrifice. That others who do not have jobs like that, they would never consider doing that. Like they would never step out for a moment and let something else be like a dominant thing. Like that would maybe even be dangerous in the field of job they had, right? They have to be present with everything they have. They have to be present with everything they have. But just know that others do the opposite. They are actually taking themselves aside and allowing everything with them now to be neutral, which in itself is special. It has magical powers. And it's feminine. And it's maybe not even seen or given worth. So that's just what I'm doing here today. Yeah. This is what I have for you, Taurus. Should we have maybe one more card on Diana here? Yeah. So I take from the Priestess of Light card. I get this card here. It says Wings of Light, becoming something new. So yes, I get a transformation phase, right? A change, becoming something new, finding new value. Also, the fire here can be confidence, like seeing confidence in who you are, what you're doing, growing that confidence. And maybe, like you could have been in situations or environments who did not appreciate, they did not see the value. They did not see what you were doing. They did not see they did not appreciate it. But you are growing it now. There's something is happening here where you are growing it. You're becoming something new here. And I think it's needed because this card is like I always see it a bit like it talks about balance and harmony, but it is starving. Like I see him as like he's not as vibrant as he could be. That's how I see him. So as 6, a balance is definitely needed here. And that could be why there's a focus on it. It's needed because you can feel it, right? You can feel that the batteries are exhausted. You need a vacation. You need to replenish. You need to recover or have a break. Or you just need recognition, right? You need recognition for what it is that you're doing. Can I get one more card on the 6 of Earth here, please? So I get the Page of Michael here. And again, page is new. Pages are always new. It's a bit like an ace, a new beginning, maybe a young, inexperienced. It's still quite new. It's still landing. In this case, it's air energy. Like this can be like a bit of like an epiphany. This is like a new voice, a new tone, a new, but it's still young and inexperienced. It's a bit novice-like. It hasn't quite landed. It's not quite established. It's still trying to speak its truth. It's still rehearsing. It's still, it says here that it's truthful, it's perceptive, it's analytical and blunt. There is a truth here about whatever balance that you have tried to establish that you are now seeing. There is a truth to what you have been up against, maybe a storm here. Then maybe, have you tried here to balance a storm? Is that even possible? Maybe you have tried to balance something that it's not at all working with you. It's not listening. Maybe this is a harsh truth. And from that standpoint, you are now realizing how maybe unfair this is. Like what a difficult situation you have been in, and what you have tried to manage is actually way too much. It's maybe also not your responsibility. It's not all on only your shoulders. It's not up to you. It can be a bit of a shock, actually, this one. I think like it can be a bit of a shock, like a very blunt, very almost shocking epiphany feeling, something that comes to mind, that is just because of that you're realizing something. This card came up also in the Aries reading. I said it could be like an illness, you know. It could be that you experience some like traumatic stress or something here in the crown area. So this can be in your brain. You're stressed in your brain, maybe. You feel fatigue, exhausted, and because of that, you have to change something, right? The illness or this disease or something, this disease, this maybe something involuntary, some involuntary tics, or maybe you have you faint, you know. Maybe you have again, this is about balance. Maybe you have balance issues, vertigo, things like that going on, and because it comes in like a very quick incoming, it's like you have to change something about your life, right? This could be a directive, like maybe you get some kind of order. You are ordered to do something. You're given an order, like a soldier. And because of that, you can feel the imbalance of this, right? That whatever you're supposed to do, like this order you're given, this action you're supposed to take, or this action you're supposed to follow, that this is so so out of alignment with you here. So maybe you're running here, like maybe you're literally taking off, escaping, running, but what you're running towards is something new. You're running to become something new. You walk away from something perhaps because you can't stay. You can't stay. So one more card on the page of Gabriel, perhaps here. Yeah, you look at this like I get a storm warning here, right? Yeah, it's like this fire you now have, this fire you have, this feeling you have. As I said, it's a page feeling. It's like it's something that you can, it's burning, it's accumulating, and it says here storm warning. So again, I get this feeling that could be an anger here. That could be frustration and anger. That potentially a storm could be built with this fire here. Or that if you show this, if you actually make this visible, if you say this out loud, you become that outlaw. Something will hunt you, right? You will be in a storm. A bit like this one, like trying to fly with his little toy here, but actually it's the more he tries to play like this or be like this, the more storm comes. So this can be like a reaction. like the storm warning, and this page of Michael here is like, if I show this about myself, if I say this out loud, a storm is coming. I will be hunted perhaps. I will be hated. I could be, again I get this Robin Hood outlaw thing, like a I have to build my confidence, right? I have to become strong enough to be that independent. I cannot be frightened and escape and run away all the time. I have to be able to withhold the storm, right? I have to be able to, like, this could be aggression from others. Right? That you know that if I bring this forth and I become this, I am this, I will only adhere to my own laws, my own feelings, I don't take sides. I'm not like favoring anyone here. I cannot be anyone's puppet or something. There will be resistance, right? Or there will be opposition here to you. And you may know that, right? You know that, when the more I grow my fire, the more storm can come. The more wild wind I could face. The more rejection, the more... It's like when I show up like this and I want to play like this, the storm is here. There's a reaction to me, right? There's a reaction to what I say, an opposition. And maybe the opposition is the reason why you feel this, why you feel like that. Maybe the opposition feeling, the storm warning, is what has kept you in a box. Because if you step out of that box, you will be on your own perhaps. Maybe you will be discarded from your family, you will be on your own. You are this outlaw now. You have done something illegal, or you are a bit of a vigilante maybe. You have your own rules. You don't follow the rules of the institution or the company, or, as I said, the maverick feeling, this wild card. You are a wild card. And a wild card usually can face opposition, right? That maybe you are aware of this. Maybe you are aware that I have to grow an equal amount of storm here in me to face the storm, right? I have to become equally as strong or equally as powerful to be able to withstand or hold the boundaries here of this storm. Change, becoming something new, usually means that like those who know you, like they don't like you changing. Like they would prefer that you stay the same. That you are the same as you used to be. It's familiar to them. When you change, become something else, you now have new rules, you become unfamiliar. They don't recognize you. But you may still be their sister or brother or daughter or mother or something. And when you become unfamiliar to them, it's like you are an alien. It's like you are strange. They can't relate to you anymore. You are unrelatable. And because I can't relate to you, I cannot love you. So I may walk away from you. There may be anger here frustration. Maybe they try to call you back, like the way they speak to you here. Maybe there's a lot of guilt tripping, shaming or something, you know. They wanna like push you back in the box somehow. So she has to, I want to say, she has to like befriend herself with the wilderness. She has to befriend herself or love it. Like love this, love the wildness in her. It's not her enemy. It's not something to be ashamed of. It's not something to feel guilty over. It's perhaps her greatest strength. But yes, she will probably belong to a special group, because usually people belong to somewhere, like they belong to a group. She is like very independent here. An independent thinker, an independent feeler, like standing on her own like that is not normal, right? It's a bit of a, yeah, you could say a bit of an outlaw or a bit of a wild card. You have to be a bit of a strange character perhaps to even be like this. And also choose it, I think. But it's because like everything else feels like a prison. Like she can have no leader. She is her own leader. The fire here is also like a leadership, but it's a page, so it's young, it's new, it's untested still. It's maybe, you know, like there could be a feeling of having a difficult time regulating your temper, because it's new, right? It's still, it's like a child. It's like a child that is still like trying to figure out what this fire is. Like figuring out its own fire. What can it do? How can it help me? Oh, I can also burn myself, right? If I can't control it, I can burn myself. I can burn others. I have to be able to figure out how to direct it, you could say, direct it somewhere. So she is someone who stirs the water, right? She could stir the water by just being her, choosing not to have sides, choosing not to get involved in certain things, or choosing specifically what she gets involved in, and other things she's not. It's not her, you know, it's not for her. It's not what she wants. It's not beneficial to her. So, you know, like I get a feeling of like a very independent, I want to say strong personality, very free spirited, free thinker, free feeler. Like putting her in a box, then she withers. Like she can't, there's no oxygen there, there's no sun, there's no, I feel also orientation. Like it's like there's no compass there. There's no, she can't hear or feel, or like there's no wind to guide her, there's no moon to guide her, there's no sun to guide her. There's no liquid, there's no touch. There's nothing that guides her. She has to feel the wind, hear the thunder in the background. She has to feel the raindrops. You know, like it has to be primal in that way. That's what I feel like. The storm warning could also be, you know, like this one is, they want to divorce their husband. Or if you are a woman, divorcing your husband or divorcing your wife, getting out of some kind of restricted or box-like feeling. And when you bring that message forward, it will release a cry here, right? It will release a scream. There will be a reaction, an aftermath. There will be a storm in some sense. There could be hatred. There could be all kinds of gossiping, you know. There could be blaming or shaming or telling stories to neighbors or whatever, gaslighting. There could be anything here as a reaction to your growing fire. So the storm can be your own storm, right? That the storm is the reason why the fire is coming, right? That it's no longer ashes. Actually, there is a fire started now from the lightning here, because your own storm has become your own feeling here, your own starvation here, or imbalance here is the reason. From your own storm comes now a fire. As I said, there could be this discontent, this anger, maybe this feeling of like utter frustration, powerlessness, maybe, that is actually creating a storm within you. And from that storm builds something else. Now builds a mission. It builds a purpose. It builds a direction. It builds a compass or a goal, right? But it may start from this, as I said, like a very like discontent, frustration, anger. Coming from that point, something else is now building. So from your worst nightmare, you could say, comes maybe a solution and something that is now motivating you in a different direction. There comes a sense of purpose or power or confidence, and it's just growing and growing and growing. May still be a page, but you know, it's a feeling. It's a feeling in you that something is on the horizon, that something is building momentum. As I say, it may still be at the page state, rather new, uncontrolled, not quite, maybe you haven't figured out quite exactly what your purpose still is. There's just this, like a molding of something. And it's because you couldn't stay who you were. You are running, or you are moving. You are in some kind of movement towards something else. You may not know what it is quite. Maybe you want to embody some of Diana here, but maybe you're not prepared to embody all of her, right? Maybe you have accepted or you agree with some of her attributes. Maybe you can't move or take action on all of it. It's still a page here, but there's a growing feeling, an urge to do something or change something. That's what I feel like. Maybe an advice here, an advice for Taurus perhaps, if you feel like this resonates with you. So I get ghost dance here. Yeah, again with the storm, right? It's like from the ghost dance. From your own ghost dance here. Or just be an advice is that you have to prepare for a ghost dance. Like you have to prepare for like a confrontation maybe. Or embrace the ghost dance. Embrace that there's a wilderness in you. That there's something to be worked through somehow. Something to be recognized. I feel like also not fearing it, like not fearing any ghost dance, not fear your own. The ghost dance of the American Plains Indians united the spirits of the living with those of the ancestors to bring peace to the earth. When the ancestors are honored, they bring harmony to us. When we hold them responsible for all what is wrong with us today, they haunt us. Honor the spirits of the ancestors and receive their lessons and gifts. This includes honoring your own past lives. The ancestors have a message of healing and a powerful medicine to offer you. Create a sacred moment at your altar, light a candle to them, and let their wisdom infuse you. At this stage in your life, you are done repeating their tragic stories. Step into the abundance that is offered to you. Receive the gifts of those that have come before you and write a new story of your life. If you are trapped in a vicious cycle of nostalgia, mourning, a lost youth, or opportunities missed, it is time to make an altar for the ancestors. Collect a few photos, light some incense, offer sage, and open the windows of your house to release them to their destiny and to the wind. Be wary of being snared in a relationship with someone from a past lifetime, as the people we loved or hurt have a way of reappearing in our lives. There is no learning for you there anymore. So, okay, this is interesting if you have been going through a storm here about something. And again, the freeing independent thinker, don't be put in a box where you feel you need to maybe that you are responsible for something, or that there are ties with you and someone else or something. It's the ghost dance. I feel like, again, there was something about Diana was known to be a voice for those who can't speak for themselves. Maybe it's your ancestors here. Like, your ancestors cannot speak for themselves. They can speak through you if you put awareness on them. Like, maybe what we talk about here is like an ancestral wound. what I talked about with the feminines, how the feminines are taken for granted, I feel sometimes, that what they do as mothers, what they do in that way is just take it for granted. It's not something that is honored in any way. It's just something that is expected of them. I know probably the masculines feel the same, that it's expected of them to do certain things. Of course, there is an opposite, undervalued, you could say, state for the masculines as well, I guess. If there's a wounding on this for the feminine, there's an equal wounding, I guess, for the men or for the masculines. Where they feel not valued or seen or understood, and so on. For now, I speak for that feminine part, and it may not be good enough. It may not be like balanced, but that's what I say right now. It's common knowledge that women have been regarded as a tool, not a person. That women were auctioned off. They were married to create peace, perhaps, or to have an alliance, but not really because they were considered to be a person, like a person of flesh and blood. They were considered maybe a trade tool, or considered a bit like an animal. There was ownership over them, right? And that is still going on today. It's just maybe a bit more hidden, or it's not expressed in the same manner. But there could be something that needs to be honored here. It's like there is an advice to look at your parents, perhaps. And if you have deceased parents or ancestors, grandparents, and so on, you may honor that they have been going through something similar as you. Like they may have the same wounding. They may have experienced some of the same stuff here. Maybe they were also women like this, or feminines like this. Maybe they would have been better off being independent and not married off, but tradition and society and church and everything demanded it, right? Maybe you're the first one of a generation who can actually become something new here. And just maybe remember the ghost dance, right? Maybe remember that you are talking for those who can't talk, perhaps. Maybe that's what you are aligning yourself to. That you speak the language of others. That you have a contact, or you are carrying a lineage of maybe wounding or ties or something, or you have been. And when you start honoring them, honoring that they have done the same, that they have experienced some of this too, that when you start seeing that it's, then you could say that the ghost dance or the storm here is changing. So this is an advice. So if you feel like that has been a thing, that you felt like you have maybe been angry with your parents or even grandparents, maybe your circumstances, like maybe if you came from poverty, like maybe you were blaming your parents or grandparents or lineage, that you were born into circumstances like that. Maybe you have been angry with certain decisions your parents have made, the way they behaved or treated you, Maybe you have been abused or in some way treated badly, or pushed or forced into a box in some way. Um, and it's just, I feel like that could be something about this idea that yes, sometimes wounding is inherited, I believe. Like it's pushed upon us when we are children, and we can become angry about that when we realize it. It could even be a shock here. When we realize how something is supposed to drain us, or that something has been pushed upon us with force or consciously done. But maybe they had no choice. Like maybe they have lived the exact same thing, but never had a chance to break out of it, right? So I think there's something about honoring where you come from, honoring that maybe you are in a time right now that this is actually possible. Maybe you're the fourth runner for your entire generation. You're the first one, perhaps. And we should honor that, right? We should honor that there is a lineage that has been, they are the reason why you're born. If they had not been there, you would never have been able to be born. But yes, you may come from a lineage that if you go way back, you were slaves. Or at least the women were, or the feminines were. They were slaves. But then look at you now, like look at how what is happening now here. And maybe we need to honor that, even though you feel like you may have been in a box. Just consider that ancestors have lived through something way worse, maybe. And you are actually in a position where you can change this, which is a blessing. And it would not have been able, like it wouldn't have been a possibility if your ancestors have not been living their lives. And you are maybe, like what you're doing here could be the price for them. Like this made it all worth the while, right? That now someone is changing something. You could have ancestors on the other side that are applauding you. Like they are actually rooting for you, perhaps. But they have had lives of that as well. And maybe that becomes your mission, right? Maybe that becomes what you want to do moving forward. Maybe you want to help those that are in abusive situations. You want to help them out. You want to give them new chances. Yeah, it's something like that. This is what I have. This is like what is coming through. I feel like again, becoming something new here. I feel like it could even be something about you literally change your mind about your heritage. Like you choose to become very free here, but it's because you're realizing something. It could be a shock here. Like you're realizing something, right? That So for yourself, to sacrifice yourself or to save yourself, you could say you have to do something. And the circumstances you are in here, like it needs a change, right? And again, there can be this, I'm not saying that, like this mother thing that I talk about, there can be fathers here as well who do this, who put themselves aside, and they make themselves available for children or for other people, right? It's not like a female thing. It's not gender specific. I talk about this, like the choice that you put yourself aside for a moment to hold something else, to put a blanket around something that is in distress. And that is a special thing to do. It's very feminine, very magical, and it's very healing, and it is not given regard. It's easily forgotten. When people kind of find their balance again and they move on in life, it's easily forgotten, and I don't think it should be. It should be honored. It should be given respect. There should be statues, like we have monuments for all the things that males do, that masculines do, all the greatness they build, all the things that can be created from the masculine power. There should be equal amount of effort understood and honored about the feminine. It's not to sit here to be a feminist or something like that, but I just see it's just something, it's witnessed. You can look around. I know that it's a bit like if feminine energy is acting out of character, it's considered hysterical, wild, it's considered bad, it's considered like destructive almost. And I guess it can be. Like masculine energy can be destructive. It's all about the balance. Like if there's no real understanding of each of the energies, it will be some kind of push and pull here. So yes, right now in this reading, I speak for the unseen feminine. I put a spot on the unseen feminine energy. It's also those people who don't make a fuss about themselves. They don't shout out loud. They are maybe more quiet. They could even be introverts. They could be kind and friendly. But they don't, like they're not yelling. They don't, make a fuss. They don't bring attention to themselves. This could be a grandmother, right? It could be a mother. It could be a father or a grandfather. It's just they have that, they have that kind of persona around them. Maybe they don't want praise even. But you can still in your heart think about them. You can still honor them. You can still think back Or as the book says, you can make an altar or light a candle for them and sit in praise and decide to let them know. On the other side, maybe those in your life that you care, or that you appreciate everything they've done, everything they are doing perhaps. Yeah, that's what I feel like. I just feel like I wanted to like bring attention to them, because they can be those people that are pretty plain, where we don't see them necessarily. Yeah, that's what I have. I hope this helps somehow. Take care of yourself, Taurus. Love and light to you. Bye bye.